did Shootmania sort of spin off from Trackmania?
That's a very good question. Actually, when Nadio finished up with Trackmania, they were a very talented developer team, and they were wondering what they could be doing next. And first thought was, let's do a sequel. But it was not challenging enough for them, so they decided to look at what are the other most played genre on PC, and they found out, guess what, that it's FPS and RPG. So they decided they will try to apply what make Trackmania such a success story to to the FPS genre, and it's giving Shootmania, and to the RPG genre, which is Questmania. This is how it started.
What sort of things have you, even though they're two completely different games, what sort of things have you learnt from Trackmania that you've brought over to Shootmania?
Well, actually, a lot of things. Already, the fact that it's the same engine. Obviously, it's an engine which has been improved over the years, but it's we're using the same networking thing, so we have as many players online as possible, like on Trackmania. We learned also how to have the purest game possible. I mean, removing all of the fancy production values, storytelling, characters, things from games, and going just on the skills. We also learned how to use only four keys to manage a game. It works for a racing game well. It does work for a shooter game as well. And we also learned a lot about esports. I mean, as you might know, Trackmania was the first and still the only racing title being strong in esports, and still nowadays, even if it's a quite old title, so to speak. And with Shootmania, we've been focusing on making sure that it does fit the esports scene, but it's important that it's the gamers who will decide that. I mean, we're trying our best. We're making sure that we feel that everything is put into the game so that it's big in esports, and we're having pro gamers getting their hands onto the game as very soon and very early into development. But that's it. So we launched a lot from Trackmania for Shootmania.
With all sort of the esports stuff, it's something that's predominantly always been quite big in Asia, and it's slowly sort of creeping over into the West now. A lot of the games that have traditionally been esports titles, like things like Counter-Strike and things like that, they're just sort of games that almost the esports community have just picked up,
yes,
rather than being developed for the esports community,
yes,
if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Is it tricky trying to appeal to those guys without trying to force the game on them?
Well, you're very right. We shouldn't be forcing them to play it, because that would never work. Now, what we did is that we looked at what they liked, and we looked at the way they were playing, and we also looked at the way people are watching those games, and we try to at least have the minimum standards for them to enjoy it. And then we looked at how we could improve. So we feel very good spectating tools and instruments. We feel that we have good shoutcasting tools as well. We've been looking at every single thing which is making esports so much fun to be played and so much fun to be watched. So we've been discussing with shoutcaster organizers, of course pro gamers, and also animators, so that we make sure that each category is getting something from the game and is benefiting from the game. Sorry.
Have you got like any sort of big tournaments planned coming up anytime soon?
Actually, our philosophy is more to enable people to make their own tournaments. We don't want to be a governing body over the tournaments and everything. I mean, we just want to be there to give the tools and the instruments, and we want to be there to impulse and to help people who might need help from us. But we don't want to be the one, overruling thing and everything. So no, we don't have any big tournaments planned so far. I mean, it's like something very organic. I mean, if players want to build a great tournament, we'll be there. And if it's happening, it's happening. And if it's not happening, that means that we might have failed a little, because people are, as you were saying, they have to pick up the game.
Sort of player-created content in Trackmania was one of the things. It was one of its biggest things. Are you guys going to be bringing that into Shootmania as well?
Yes, absolutely. We're using same kind of editor as in Trackmania and Trackmania 2. So players will be able to build their own modes and their own maps. So maps is more or less what they were used to be doing already with Trackmania. When you consider they've been doing more than 500,000 maps, you can imagine that on a bigger genre how many maps we could get. And we're very excited about it, that we're allowing players also to build their own modes modes. That is to say, they will be deciding the rules, the maps, how many weapons, what kind of weapons, how many bullets in the weapons, and so on and so forth. So we're very excited to see where the players are going to take the Shootmania to.
What's the initial reaction been? Are you guys happy with sort of how everybody's sort of received the game since it was announced at E3?
Well, we are delighted, I should say. We are very excited by all of the great feedbacks we're receiving from everybody who's been playing it. And even when it's not positive, it's still great feedback for us because it's helping us improve the game. But so far, I have to say, and I'm sorry, I'm not very modest of myself. I'm happy and the weather is great, so let's do it. I would say that 90% of the comments are very, very enthusiastic about the game, and people are very eager and keen to help us make it a success and make it as good as possible so that everybody enjoys it. And as I said, it's about the gamers, but it's also about the spectators. We want them to enjoy watching other people playing the game.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.